Baalbek has the largest stones that were ever quarried in human history, the largest stones that were lifted, stacked, and transported in human history, and the largest stone columns in all of classical history. And right here is evidence for all that have eyes to see.
All of those stones show signs of using the Roman foot.
An advanced AI was fed every single piece of data on Lebanon's most baffling ancient site, Baalbek. It analyzed laser scans, geological reports, and astronomical charts that were thousands of years old. Its one mission was to solve the impossible. How were stones, some weighing nearly 4 million pounds, quarried and moved? After processing trillions of data points, the AI delivered an answer. But it wasn't the answer anyone expected. It revealed a level of technology and planning so far beyond the accepted timeline of history that it forces us to question everything. Technology unlocks an ancient puzzle. The AI ran millions of simulations and every single one failed. It concluded that with the tools and methods attributed to the Romans or any civilization of that era, building the Baalbek foundation wasn't just difficult, it was a statistical impossibility. But then it started to find patterns that no human had ever pieced together. The first mind-blowing discovery came from the microscopic tool marks left on the giant stones. The AI determined that the grooves and cuts weren't consistent with simple bronze or iron chisels. Instead, they showed evidence of harmonic resonance.
Some sort of breakdown of the Roman foot in these measurements, but they're not there at Baalbek.
In simple terms, the AI suggested the builders used a form of high-frequency vibration, possibly sound-based, to weaken the limestone along precise lines, allowing for unbelievably clean cuts. This technology is something our own scientists are only beginning to experiment with today. It would have allowed a small, highly skilled team to quarry stones that would otherwise require an army. Then the AI tackled the transportation problem. How do you move a 3 million pound block over a quarter of a mile and lift it 20 feet into the air? Forget logs and ropes. The AI's analysis of the terrain and the stone's magnetic traces suggested a system of electromagnetic levitation. It found that the path from the quarry was lined with specific crystalline rocks, and it theorized that the builders generated a powerful electromagnetic field, creating a path of least resistance that would allow them to guide the massive blocks into place with minimal friction. This sounds like science fiction, but the AI pointed to subtle scorch marks on the underside of the stones that are consistent with intense electromagnetic energy. This wasn't brute force. It was brilliant, forgotten physics. The builders weren't just construction workers, they were scientists of the highest order. But who were they? Why these megaliths shouldn't exist? To truly grasp what the AI uncovered, you need to understand the sheer mind-numbing scale of Baalbek. Forget what you know about the pyramids or Stonehenge. This is an entirely different league.
Know exactly who did it or when, but the academics conclude that it had to have been the Romans or the Phoenicians.
The main feature that has baffled experts is the foundation platform, known as the trilithon. It's composed of 3 limestone blocks, each measuring around 63 feet long, 14 feet high, and 11 feet thick. Each one weighs approximately 800 tons. That's 1,600,000 pounds per stone. To give you some perspective, a modern Abrams tank weighs about 68 tons. You could stack 23 of those tanks on top of each other and you'd be getting close to the weight of just one of these blocks. The largest mobile crane in the world today can lift about 1,200 tons, but only under perfect conditions, on reinforced concrete. The builders of Baalbek moved 3 of them across uneven ground and hoisted them 20 feet into the air. And the precision is just insane. These 3 million pound behemoths are fitted together so perfectly that you can't even slide a razor blade between them. But not all things are what they seem, because the trilithon isn't even the most impressive part. The thing nobody tells you is that in the nearby quarry there are even bigger stones that were left behind. The most famous is the Hajar al-Hibla, or the stone of the pregnant woman. This single block is estimated to weigh 1,000 tons, a staggering 2 million pounds. For centuries, this was thought to be the largest movable block from antiquity, but then in 2014, archaeologists digging right next to it found another one. This one weighs an estimated 1,650 tons. That's 3,300,000 pounds, a single carved piece of rock heavier than almost anything we have ever tried to move in our entire history. Why quarry something that big if you didn't have a reliable way to move it? Many people are crazy about this question. The mainstream answer is that they were mistakes, that the builders cut them and then realized they were too heavy. But this contradicts the perfection of the Trilithon itself. These weren't mistakes, they were just the next step in a plan that was never finished. When myth and archaeology collide. So if the Romans didn't build the foundation, who did? This is where the mystery deepens and history gives way to haunting legends. The Romans themselves called the site Heliopolis, the city of the sun, but they didn't name it that out of nowhere. They inherited the name and the site's sacred nature from the cultures that came before. Long before the first Roman soldiers set foot in Lebanon, the Phoenicians worshipped their sky god Baal right on this very spot. In fact, the name Baalbek is believed to mean Lord Baal of the Bekaa Valley. The Phoenicians, however, also appeared to be building on top of something even older. Archaeological evidence points to human activity at the site stretching back thousands of years, deep into the Bronze Age. What many overlooked is that local legends tell a completely different story from the history books. These aren't just quaint folk tales, they are ancient oral traditions passed down through generations. One of the most persistent legends claims that Baalbek was built by a race of giants. Ancient texts, including the Book of Genesis, mention powerful beings known as the Nephilim who walk the earth. According to the lore, it was these giants who had the strength to move the impossible stones. Another powerful legend, recorded in early Islamic texts, attributes the construction to King Solomon. But the story says he didn't use human labor. Instead, he commanded the jinn, powerful supernatural entities, to build the platform for him as a palace for the Queen of Sheba. While these stories sound fantastical, they both point to one core idea. The construction of Baalbek was not a normal human achievement. It required something more, either beings of immense physical power or beings with knowledge of forces beyond our own. The AI's findings of advanced technology eerily echo these ancient myths of supernatural power. Could it be that what our ancestors described as magic was simply a science so advanced that we are only now beginning to rediscover it? The builders may have vanished, but they left behind a map written in the stars. A celestial code. The AI didn't just analyze how Baalbek was built, it analyzed why it was built in that specific location and orientation. And its findings suggest the entire complex is a massive, functioning astronomical device. Using sophisticated archaeoastronomy software, the AI cross-referenced the layout of the temple platform with star charts from different historical periods. It found that the main axis of the Trilithon aligns perfectly with the rising sun on the summer solstice. But here's the unbelievable part. It doesn't align with the solstice today or in Roman times. It aligns with the position of the sun as it would have appeared roughly 12,000 years ago. This is due to a phenomenon called the precession of the equinoxes, a slow wobble in the Earth's axis that changes our view of the stars over millennia. For the builders to have this knowledge suggests an understanding of celestial mechanics that is simply staggering, and it pushes the date of the original construction far, far back into a mysterious period of prehistory. But the alignments didn't stop there. The AI identified other key points in the structure that correspond to the rising and setting of specific stars, like Sirius and constellations like Orion. It was a complete cosmic map, frozen in stone. This wasn't just for religious ceremony, this was functional. The AI proposed that the entire site acted as a celestial calendar and a navigational tool of incredible precision. What's even more compelling is that these same alignments appear at other megalithic sites all over the world. From the Giza pyramids in Egypt to Stonehenge in England, ancient builders were obsessed with Orion and the solstices. The AI's cross-site analysis suggests a shared knowledge base, a global megalithic culture that understood astronomy and advanced engineering and was active thousands of years before the rise of the classical civilizations we know. These people weren't isolated tribes. They were part of an interconnected network of master builders who spoke the universal language of math and astronomy.
I would conclude that this is evidence that this site existed in prehistoric times.
They left their mark on every continent, and Baalbek may very well be their crowning achievement. The final truth of Baalbek forces us to ask, what else have we been told that is wrong? The future of a mysterious past. So where does this leave us? The AI's analysis presents a reality that's almost impossible to accept. It suggests that long before recorded history, a civilization existed with technology that didn't just rival ours, it may have surpassed it. That alone flips the entire foundation of human history upside down. We've always been told that progress is linear, that we went from sticks and stones to microchips and rockets through a slow, steady climb. But Baalbek seems to tell a completely different story, one of rise, collapse, and rebirth. A cycle, not a straight line. If the AI is right, then history hasn't been a journey of progress, it's been a recovery mission. We might just be rediscovering what was once already known. People watching this might be asking the same thing. Did all of this really happen overnight? Could ancient builders have achieved what even modern cranes would struggle to replicate? Are we missing something huge, something hiding right in front of us? The strange thing is, the AI's data doesn't rely on myths or guesswork. It's built on geometry, physics, and cold, hard pattern recognition. Tool marks that defy bronze chisels, blocks that weigh over 1,000 tons, positioned with millimeter precision, astronomical alignments that match not with the sky of today, but with the sky of tens of thousands of years ago. These are not random coincidences. The algorithms detected patterns that form a single, cohesive message. Someone at some point in the deep past understood engineering and cosmic mathematics on a level that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. That doesn't mean we have the full picture. The AI can reconstruct techniques and predict outcomes, but it can't tell us why. Who were these people? What were they trying to achieve? And what happened to them? The ruins at Baalbek don't just pose architectural questions, they pose existential ones. Was this a temple, a fortress, a power generator, or something entirely outside our frame of reference? Some researchers even believe the platform itself was an ancient launch pad, an anchor point for something far more advanced than stonework. Others think it was a resonant structure, built to harness the Earth's natural frequencies, possibly to generate energy or alter consciousness. The deeper you dig, the stranger it gets. The AI analysis detected a form of micro-vibration wear on the trilithon stones that doesn't match any known lifting method. Some theorists now wonder if sound itself, resonant harmonic frequencies, was used to move these colossal blocks. If that's true, it could explain why ancient myths around the world speak of priests or magicians who could move mountains with their voices. What if those weren't metaphors? What if those were distant memories of acoustic technology? Machines that turned vibration into motion. And that's not all. The chemical residue in the quarry near Baalbek doesn't match Roman construction materials. It contains traces of compounds that appear to be partially vitrified, suggesting exposure to extremely high heat, possibly from plasma or directed energy. It's the kind of thing we associate with modern laser cutting, not primitive chisels. So the question becomes, who had access to this kind of power thousands of years ago? Some say it was a lost branch of humanity, wiped out by a global cataclysm. The same event that might have sunk other advanced cultures like Atlantis or the ancient builders of the Sphinx. Others believe Baalbek is part of a global network of power nodes, sites aligned to an ancient grid that once encircled the planet. When mapped by the AI, the geometry of Baalbek lines up perfectly with the Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge, and even the ruins of Tiwanaku in Bolivia. Coincidence? The probability, according to the model, is nearly zero. It's as if someone or something designed Earth's sacred sites with the precision of a planetary engineer. There's also the more radical theory that Baalbek wasn't built by humans at all. Some archaeologists scoff at this idea, but the data keeps pushing back. The AI found structural tolerances so fine they fall within aerospace standards. Ancient texts from the region speak of the giants of old, of sky gods descending to build homes for their kings. Could those myths be garbled memories of visitors from elsewhere? Beings who came to Earth long before history began, built their monuments, and then vanished. If so, Baalbek might be the last remnant of their presence, a monument not to gods, but to engineers from the stars. Did a lost civilization with forgotten technology build Baalbek, Or are we just underestimating ancient human grit? Let us know below. Like and subscribe for more truths hidden in history.